This week, Van Jones did an interview on CNN to tell us why black voters are frustrated with Joe Biden. I'll tell you how he got it wrong in a second, but first, let's see what he had to say.
For African-American voters in particular, there's a special heartbreak because, first of all, the pain is more intense. The rising gas prices, food prices, it's really walloped the black community in a particular way. But the hopes were so much higher. And so you have a community that came out in huge numbers in 2018, huge numbers in 2020, expecting things to get a lot better. And instead, economically at least, it didn't come true. It got worse.
The hopes were so much higher. But why? Joe Biden told us what he was going to do to the fossil fuel industry.
Number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period.
And as Barack Obama told us, under the Democrats' plan, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
Under my plan of a cap and trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
And let's not act like black voters weren't warned about this.
We have more oil than anybody, okay? And it's an incredible thing that it's happened over the last few years, a lot of great things, and you're paying, what, $2 a gallon for your gasoline? That's okay. You know what that's like? That's like a tax cut. That's bigger than a tax cut. If Biden got in, you'd be paying $7, $8, $9. Didn't they say, get rid of your car?
Prices at some local gas stations, they're way above the average. Well, across the street from the Beverly Center, one of the most expensive places in L.A., drivers are paying this, nearly $7 for regular unleaded, nearly $8 for premium. Drivers said they were surprised and not in a good way.
So why did black voters have such high hopes when it came to the economy under a Biden administration? They actually didn't. They were just led to believe that Trump is a racist and is out to make their lives horrible. It didn't matter that under Trump, we had the lowest black unemployment rate in history. It didn't matter that he funded black colleges at a higher rate than Obama did. The narrative that Trump was a racist was repeated over and over again at their own peril. We're headed into a recession right now, and I'll admit that it's not just Biden's fault or just due to high gas prices. The blame falls on anyone who was okay with shutting down our economy over COVID. Trump did a 2-week shutdown at the beginning of the pandemic, but in places like California, they shut things down for a year. And other countries did too. Countries run by people who would be Democrats if they lived in the United States. The fact is, Democrat policies over the pandemic and energy have caused the economy to be where it is today, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. What's really amazing is that Democrats can pretend to be shocked that gas prices are so high. During the lockdowns, oil companies lost billions of dollars. And then when Democrats got into power, they announced that they're going to end the fossil fuel industry. What did they think would happen? Look, imagine for a second that you've been in the chocolate industry for decades. Then the government comes along and makes it almost impossible for you to sell your chocolate for a couple of years, which causes you to lose a lot of money. And then, just when people start buying chocolate again, the government says they're going to put the chocolate industry out of business. Do you think that would affect the price of chocolate? It's so easy to understand, and the fact that Democrats can get away with pretending they don't get it really speaks to the dumbing down of society, which is a subject I'll be releasing a video about soon. Democrats in power know why gas prices are high, and they know why inflation is high. It's a necessary part of their plan. I mean, why would anyone ever buy an electric car if gas prices were really cheap? Now, let's get back to the Van Jones interview. He claims that another reason black voters are turning their backs on Biden is because they're ignorant. They just don't know that Biden has done a lot for the black community.
I don't think that they're doing a good job or even trying to communicate some of the stuff that's been done for the black community. For instance, billions of dollars for black colleges. Nobody knows that.
That's funny, isn't it? Trump oversaw the most money to ever go to black colleges during his presidency. Did the majority of black voters support him because of it?
The Department of Justice has Kristen Clark in place now. They are actually now going after police departments and fixing police departments in a way that hadn't happened under Trump. They've backed off. The Department of Justice under Trump was charging people way too much criminally. They're backing off of that.
Fixing police departments? I think you mean defunding police departments and letting criminals out of jail. Kristen Clark is the Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division at the United States Department of Justice. And in 2020, she wrote an article titled, "I Prosecuted Police Killings. Defund the Police, but Be Strategic." Here's an excerpt. To be sure, there are some parts of police budgets that should be eliminated immediately, like the federal 1033 program, which has transferred more than $7.4 billion in Defense Department hand-me-downs to 8,000 law enforcement agencies nationwide since 1997. Many of the tanks, riot gear, and tactical vehicles that have escalated tensions at the anti-racism protests were provided via the 1033 program. There is no place for weapons of war on America's streets. You know what? Had Nancy Pelosi allowed the Capitol to be protected with weapons of war on January 6th, Democrats wouldn't be putting on a show right now attacking Donald Trump. But even funnier than that is the fact that those so-called weapons of war weren't able to stop the hundreds of riots in 2020 that led to the killing of dozens of police officers and billions of dollars in damages. And the defunding of police departments have only led to more crime being committed. Why would black voters be happy about that? Their communities were burned down in 2020, and Democrats' reaction to that is to make policies that allow more crime to happen in those communities. It's so bad that Starbucks just announced closing more than a dozen stores due to employees complaining about violent crime happening on their premises. That's not a good thing. And now to the third thing that Van Jones thinks should make the black community happy with Joe Biden.
You also have more black women put on the federal courts of appeals than have ever been done by any president. Even though it's had 8 years, he's done it in less than 2.
I'm sorry, but are we supposed to believe that more black women being on the federal court of appeals will somehow make living in a crime-ridden neighborhood okay? Where high rent, gas, and grocery prices are making paying the bills almost impossible? It's really sad that a lot of black people have bought into the narrative that if they don't vote for Democrats, their lives will get worse. And it doesn't matter that most of the cities they burned down are run by Democrats. It doesn't matter that things got better when Trump was in office. And according to Van Jones, we're supposed to believe that it doesn't matter that crime is on the rise in black neighborhoods and the cost of living is through the roof. Biden has promised more money to black colleges and put more black women on the federal court of appeals, so black people should be happy to vote for Joe. Look, the reason black people are sour on Biden is the same reason we're all sour on Biden. He sucks. He's making life harder for all of us. According to a recent Harvard Caps poll, 71% of Americans don't want Biden to run again in 2024. So it's not just black people who are frustrated with Joe Biden, it's all of us. But you know where Van Jones gets it wrong? Most Democrat voters don't realize the problem is bigger than Joe Biden. The problem is Democrat policies. Joe Biden is just doing what the party is telling him to do. It's Democrat policies that are making life so hard. It's Democrat policies that have gas prices through the roof and inflation soaring. Black voters aren't frustrated with Joe Biden, they're frustrated with the Democrat Party. But the sad part is, they don't even know it. And that's the simple truth. Hey guys, thanks for watching. And if you all want to support this channel, check out the links in the description, and let's keep putting some common sense back into the great debate.